So you kind of mentioned this earlier about people wanting to like homestead and be super
Yes.
trad. What do you think about this trend of some people, not everybody, but a sizable portion of people who are returning to tradition, whether that's with the Orthodox faith or when it comes to being more traditionally minded with relationships? What do you make of that? Do you think this is an affect, or do you think this is actually something that's going to stick around? What are your thoughts?
Well, history is cyclical. And I think that has a lot to do with it. And people are feeling very lost in a post COVID world. And so, what is where is or what's comforting, right? Going back to our roots and orthodoxy, number one being the ultimate root essentially, and just like I said, history is cyclical. So we've become so toxic, overgrown, just out of touch, all of the above, that I think a lot of people are realizing what matters, what makes sense, what is real, and what's going to make us better, essentially. And I think that is why people are turning to a healthier lifestyle, healthier food, taking, like I said, with the chickens and small farms and these micro farms and such.
Mhm.
Uh, and it's just a result of, like I said, this culture that has been overgrown and just so incredibly toxic. People are looking for something real and a real community. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I think it's completely normal and natural. And the more we can get back to, even though I live in a city and have grown up in a city my whole life, I do see a huge need to protect the nuclear family in this country, which is another huge reason why we started Homemade Match. Part of becoming a trad, family, let's just say, or even just like a homestead family, it's part of that, protecting the male and female roles in the community and in life in general, and having a family that knows God and is healthy and you know what I mean by healthy, not just spiritually, not just mentally, but obviously physically, which is a very attractive thing to have. A wife stay at home who's able to cook, or even a husband, whatever it may be, or you guys are working as a team in some way, right? So who can cook and take care of the family in a way that is not how we've grown up the last 15 years
Right.
or so, maybe more.
Yeah, I think a lot of the there's it's a mixed bag. I
Yeah.
think it's broad strokes definitely a good thing that people are realizing that the way they've been operating, the way things have been going is kind of broken and not
Hmm.
working. And in order to like get back on track, they have to realize where they got off track. And so
Absolutely.
they look back to the past and say, okay, well, it wasn't as difficult for our parents or our grandparents or whoever. Um, and so what were they doing that we weren't doing?
Hmm.
And some of the answer comes down to like matchmaking. Some of it is more traditional, like the man works, the wife stays home. Um, it's these kind of aspirations that I think in general are a good impulse. I think at the same time, though, at least on social media, there can be an affect of it to where you have like these trad influencers
Hmm.
that are like, it's not, you're not really. I mean, they're responding to a need, but they're also manipulating the fact that there's like an organic desire to go back and kind of um, live a more traditional lifestyle, and then there's a a fake um, supplanted version of that. I think that both exist, if that makes
Okay.
sense. Anyway, that's just I don't know
So
my observations about it.
yeah. So, just because I'm curious, so elaborate a little bit more because maybe I'm missing something. So you think that there's like a real push for to be, to go back to our roots versus a fake um, people who are doing it for show, essentially, or
Yeah, well, I think like specifically like Instagram
Mhm.
influencers are there's
Well,
some
they've
of them.
monetized this idea, right?
Yes,
So you're
exactly.
right.
Yes. And I think some have observed that um men were not happy with how women were presenting themselves, maybe in a political sense. Like we're
Okay.
talking about like the blue hair crazy people,
Mm-hmm.
etc. And so women adapt to that to be more in line. The meme of the trad guy,
Yes.
the Chad. I have a friend that looks exactly like him, and I made him that his profile picture. Anyway, um, that meme like came out. It was a meme, but it's like a joke because it's like there's a little bit of truth to it,
True.
but
True.
there's also it's a joke, and some people
Hmm.
take it a little too seriously. Anyway, I'm trying to like head off people at the pass on where I think other people will respond, and maybe I'm not being super clear with it.
No.
But I do think there is a natural, organic desire for on both men and women to go
Mhm.
back to a more traditional lifestyle, and I think that is emblematic of why people were becoming Orthodox or even in some cases Catholic. Although I'd argue that's a little less traditional, but um, there's this impulse, the pendulum swing of the culture is kind of going back to tradition as a
Mhm.
whole, and I do think that's a natural reaction to things that have happened in recent
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
At the same time, I do think that there are some people who monetize, like you said, and
Mhm.
manipulate this and make it about attention.
Mhm.
And it's not actually quote unquote what they're looking. It's not actually trad. It's not what they're looking for.
Yes.
They're milking a fad or what they perceive to be a fad. They're becoming a fad. They're like a
Mhm.
subsect of it. I don't know if that makes any
No,
sense
no, it
or if
does
that's
make sense.
more.
I understand. I understand. Yes.
That was kind of my ramblings. I don't know if that was coherent for people. If people want me to elaborate, maybe I can do a separate video where I actually like write things out and think about them because I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just things that have been like mulling around in my head for a little while, um, and that I have seen in certain areas in
Mhm.
certain Orthodox churches that I've been to. Um, but speaking of the Orthodox community, I kind of wanted to ask you what what do you think Orthodox communities can do, whether that's priests or parishes or online groups, etc.? What are some things they can do to foster better relationships between men and women?
So, I think that they're doing their best. But it could be better. Of course, there's room for improvement. The thing is, you wouldn't go to your gardener to ask about a headache type of a thing, right? So, they're trying to facilitate these different events. They're trying to priests is what I mean, matchmake, right? They're
Hmm.
trying to help the community as best as they know possible. Some may be better than others. I mean, I know that one of my priests, God rest his soul, he was wonderful and he was such an amazing spiritual father for me and my family. But I was like 17 and he was trying to set me up with somebody who was like 32. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to work. Also, I'm just 17. So what I mean by that is bring us in. We're a resource, we're a tool. We're an option, of course, but uh, you know, facilitating deeper connections is really hard to do at a dinner, and Bible study, right? So I think the best way you can is to maybe help the people who are not able to. So, for example, attend the different pan Orthodox events, attend the different, the OYPC, for example, the different specifically focused groups for singles. The
Connect conference.
Ancient Faith Singles Retreat, for example.
Mhm.
Go to these things. And one way that the priests, church community can help is maybe for the people who can't potentially afford it, right? To go to all of these things, because they can be pricey. Who, whatever it may be, helping in that way is, like, I think probably the best case scenario, because yes, they're still having these events. Yes, they're doing their best. If we're in the area, I have multiple marriage and family therapists throughout the U.S. who are willing to help homemade match. Maybe bring one of them in to help facilitate things a little bit. At the Orthodox Young Professionals Conference, we were so grateful for the opportunity to be there and to host one of the nights where we were able to kind of create these icebreakers that were thought-provoking and got people to talk and get into different groups and whatnot, but then take it a step further and help people actually, ask someone out, right?
Mhm.
Or work through an issue in real time so that they have a better chance, basically, of potentially getting into a relationship. So it's like everyone wants the same thing, but then how are we getting to the next step of actually getting that date? How are we getting to the next step of exchanging numbers? How are we getting to the courtship? So yes, we can't be too hard on the church, on the churches and on the parishes, because they are trying, but we need to think outside of the box, truly. Whether, like I said, helping raise money to attend these different retreats, or potentially bringing in someone who, there's therapists within all of the different communities, and as long as they're trusted and with the blessing of the priest, of course, bring them in to kind of help and facilitate and have these talks. It's nice to hear from our clergy, of course, but a different perspective, would be nice sometimes as well. So there's lots of I think everybody's trying their best, but we do have to, like I said, think outside of the box. Any
So
suggestions?
employ matchmakers to come into your
Well,
church.
that would be ideal. Absolutely. I have worked with lots of different people. We do relationship coaching. We have online presence assessments that will help you with. Sometimes it's just like little corrections, little. It's just sometimes it's just little corrections. That's all. That's all that's really needed. And bringing light to something, like, for example, maybe don't share these political posts, or maybe let's change your profile picture from 2018, or it's little changes like that that will kind of help, and then just push you in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think another thing that could help, that you mentioned, like, parishes are doing what they can, but there are some parishes that aren't doing anything. And
Mhm.
so having some um, young adults gathering.
Yes.
Now, it may be difficult depending on the parish, because I've been to some parishes that are fairly small, and they may
Mhm.
not have a lot of young people, or there might be like 95% dudes that show up to
Yeah.
the young adults thing. Um, so okay, just kind of related to that,
Hmm.
obviously parishes do stuff for young people because they need each other. But what would you say for parishes or communities of parishes that
Hmm.
are, maybe, because I, like, when I was in the Nashville area, a lot
Yeah.
of the parishes were kind of siloed off to
Hmm.
their jurisdictional kind of boundaries,
Yes.
and there was like a sizable young adults population, but it was really up to a friend of mine who was trying to coordinate that and facilitate people coming together, because you've got like 5 young people at this church or 15 at that church, and it's just like they don't know that other Orthodox group people exist in their community because they're stuck in their
Yeah.
one place that they go to. What do you think about parishes or communities that have, maybe like no young people at one
Hmm.
parish? Maybe there's like 1 or 2 young people that go there, and then there's another parish where there's like 15.
Hmm.
Or how do you think parishes could better facilitate these
Yeah.
things, maybe in a pan-Orthodox way that
I
gets
was
people
just gonna
together?
say, yes. So the best way is for your clergy or someone from your church. I would recommend it's the priest. Reach out on a pan Orthodox level, definitely, and bring in those other jurisdictions. The best and easiest and less um, financially straining way to get more people who are of the same faith, right? There are some parishes that have a designated person on the parish council that facilitates these types of events, right?
Okay, gotcha.
So, for example, at my church, we have the Women's Society, the Men's Club, and then a young adult club as well. So you can kind of find where you feel like you fit. The Women's Society and the Men's Club both have singles and married people as well, but the young adults is also has a mix as well, but mostly singles. But yes, I think that having a specific person at each church part of the board is essential. I know not every church has that, and obviously maybe it doesn't make sense at maybe it doesn't seem that it makes sense at every church, but there are, even if there's one person that you can help, then you are the person to be on that board. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And it's up to you to kind of pull together the community. So growing up, I did a lot of that. Growing up, that was I was involved besides Soyo on a parish, diocese, and national level. It we did a lot of things outside of the church that pulled together the Christian community in San Diego. Just because you don't see this person as marriage material doesn't mean you can't be friends with them. And at Homemade Match, that is where we start. It is a video call just like this, essentially, where you're talking and we'll come on and say, hey, Bailey, meet Jenna. Jenna, meet Bailey, and you have a private space to talk for as long as you'd like. And we start off by saying, hey, this is an opportunity to potentially meet a new friend. See how if you find this person interesting, do you find them to be a good person? And if do you find them interesting enough to have another conversation with them? We're not saying, hey, you match with this person, go get engaged.
Right.
That's where people have like the anxiety comes in and it's not good. But the people who are most successful with us are the people who understand that and realize that it's starts with friendship and that are open-minded and give people real chances, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think wrapping up and kind of segueing from that question, if people are interested in your matchmaking services,
Yeah.
what's the process like, and what can they do to get started?
So I highly recommend having a 15-minute consultation with us first, whether it's with me or one of my marriage and family therapists. They know the process very, very well as well and can speak to it just as well as I can. Have that consultation first because we're not for everyone. There are people who sign up organically, which you can do if you read enough and you follow us and you've you can get the idea of how we operate for the most part. And also our website has all of the questions and everything answered. Now we do get people who sign up organically and then realize, oh, you don't share photos. It's completely confidential. So you're not going to share the person's name with me before we have a conversation? Absolutely not. And so that's why we highly recommend having the consultation so that we can talk to you and kind of run you through how the process works. And you can feel more comfortable making a decision one way or the other. Now, if from there, it's essentially signing up. There is an agreement and a code of conduct. This is just for safety. We're not locking anybody into any kind of 2 months, 6 months, 5 minutes, nothing like that. It's really just for safety. And then from there, we have an interview with you, and it's a monthly service fee. It's really, really affordable. And you just, we'll have monthly check-ins or as many check-ins as needed. But anyways, a monthly check-in And that's pretty much how it works. If there's a match, we reach out to you right away. And if there isn't a match, then we have like I said, a monthly check-in to just keep the line of communication open. And so that's a very brief overview of how it works. But, there have been people where we had to say, hey, this doesn't seem like we're a good fit for each other. Like, for example, there was a client of mine or a potential client, let's just say, who basically said, hi, I need a woman with size 7 shoe, 115 pounds or lighter, needs to make 6 figures, needs to be extremely attractive. Oh, it needs to be this denomination of Christianity. And I was just like, I don't think this is right for
No.
you. Yeah. And so,
That's
and
funny.
it's okay. And then other times, we go through the process and even have a match for the person and realize maybe this is not the best approach for you. So it's okay. We would rather have a intentional vetting process that helps weed through some of those people, and ultimately it's just better outcome for our clients.
Yeah, makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Well, awesome. Thank you for your time, Jenna. If anyone
Thank you.
has comments or questions or thoughts about these topics, this was intended, as I said at the beginning, to kind of be the start of conversations. I hope that more Orthodox people start talking about this issue.
Hmm.
Um, Kind of just to give some prologue. Um, Kind of something that birthed this interest in me is I was at the Connect conference, and I think I've told you this story, but I'll tell it for the people at home who are listening to this. There was a question that was I actually asked you was, why do you think so many young Orthodox people are having trouble finding a suitable spouse?
Hmm.
And there were three speakers, um, and the whole room went silent, and like you could tell like it was on everybody's mind, but nobody said anything.
Hmm.
And the priest, Father John, responded, and he was like, well, I don't know, but it's not your fault. And then he kind of elaborated and gave a few suggestions of things that he thought might be some of the solutions, and the other speakers chimed in as well, and
Hmm.
that kind of established the basis for conversations that I had with other people that weekend, and it just became something that I'm aware of, and like I know a lot of great people who are struggling with this and they're not there and they don't know how to fix where they are.
Hmm.
Um, so I think matchmaking is a key integral component of this. There's obviously improve yourself. There's spiritual reasons behind it too. But I hope that this will kind of be the beginning of a dialogue for people and how we can help our young people start families and get married and, like you said,
Yes.
bring together the nuclear family and keep it together.
Hmm. Absolutely. You know, um, I appreciate you having me, and I'm always happy to discuss more and discuss other topics as well. But yes, we're very fortunate to have started Homemade Match and to be able to help people. And just if you feel the last message I want to leave everyone with is essentially, if you don't feel you're ready, but you have real intentions, to be a spouse in the future, come to us. Let's talk at the very least, because there are many different avenues that we can help and get you there. And it's sometimes just little tweaks that's all it takes, little corrections here and there. And so give us the opportunity to have a conversation with you and see how we can help or where we can, fine tune. And yeah, we're
Yeah.
happy to.
What is it just homemadematch.com?
Yes,
Okay.
homemadematch.com. Our Instagram is also homemade underscore match.
Okay.
And we're available anytime. Our calendars are open to, for consultations on our website at any time. They're free, like I said. And we're looking forward to helping more and more people.
Awesome. Well, I'll leave
Yeah.
links to those in the description and people can check them out if they want, or if they just want to have conversations in the comments. I'm looking
Yes.
forward to the comments. So,
Yes.
yeah,
Same.
thank you.
I'll be there. All right.
All
Thanks,
right.
Bailey. Take care.